okay, we're back from a long break to Amateurs Abroad, and we went. Well, Lisa and I met up with your daughter Madison in the UK, and then we drove from London to Wales and spent time. We wanted to go to Wrexham because of the welcome to Wrexham
Well,
and the soccer and all the excitement of that, and see the town, and so that's what we did. We met in London. You guys got there first.
yes.
And then checked in the hotel, and then I got there second, but I was still sick. So when I got there, I text Lisa, I might just stay in the London airport. You're like, okay.
Nope.
Yeah, it was just too much. Like, I was still sick, so walking, like, in those airports, it was Gatwick, but it was still huge. And then I needed to take, when I got off the plane, the Uber said it was $74. And I was like, $74 at the hotel, that's too much. And so then
Yeah.
I got my luggage, sat down, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take the train. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to die. And so then I looked again, it was like $96. I'm like, oh my God, I am going to live in the airport. And then I waited for, I don't know, like 20 minutes probably. And then I'm like, okay, I'll go to the train station because it was in the next terminal over. So I got up enough energy to do that. I got on the train, went to Victoria Station, and then I was supposed to change trains to another train to get close to the hotel, which was over by Hyde Park. But I looked at the Uber app and I'm like, oh, it's $11 now from here. Forget it. I'm just taking Uber. So I met you guys, but you guys had a longer walk than I did.
So we did really good getting off the plane. Clearly we can get off a plane, but like finding like where to buy tickets I went and I even confirmed with like the travel people, like the kiosks that they have.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is the hotel I'm trying to go to. What's, where do I need to go? What stop? So they tell me the stop. I'm like, excellent. We've got this. We got one-way tickets because we only needed it to get to the hotel. We get on, we get off at our stop, we're walking, I'm like, I don't think our hotel's around here. So then I Google it again, and it's not there. It's like 2.5 miles away. So we took a lovely stroll through Hyde Park. It was really beautiful, but I'd say
you did have the park, though. Right. At least you got to see the park. Yeah.
Right. I now have some tips. Like, there should be more benches that people could stop and sit at after they've walked 1.5 miles. There were benches in the middle of like the grass, which was beautiful.
Yeah.
But when you just want to die because you're dragging luggage
or bring a blanket because everyone was like picnicking.
Right.
Just bring a blanket, lay down there.
Yeah. So after the 2-mile jaunt, at least it was pretty. Yeah. Nobody seemed alarmed that 2 people are dragging luggage through the park. So that was nice. Also, there was a marathon happening.
Oh, that's right.
There were people like running and things were blocked off.
Right.
And so that was fun.
There were detours everywhere.
So we got to hear the band. And then there was like a food truck at the end of our, like where we were going to walk. I'm like, oh, there's a food truck. Maybe we can get a snack. If the food truck left right as we got to it, I'm like, oh, okay. So even after the park, we had like the 1/2 mile still to go. And then we get there and the hotel lady, she's like, yeah, I can't check you in because it was under your name. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, all right, well, I'm just going to sit in your lobby for the next 4 hours.
Sit up in your lobby.
She's like, and I'm like, we have the same last name.
Yeah.
She said that she added us to the list or whatever.
Yeah.
And she just didn't pay attention because after the whole debacle, and we're texting you as you're boarding the plane.
Yes. And I'm taking pictures of my passport and stuff so that you could like check. Yeah. And I was just about to turn my phone off. So
yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And then at the end, she's like, "Oh, you guys had the last name. You should have told me that in the beginning." And me and Madison are like to ourselves, "We did." So
I would have thought of that.
Right. So it ended up well, and we pretty much went and died on the bed and like recouped.
I know. And then we were all dead. And then because I was so sick, you guys are like, "Well, let's go." And I love Wagamama, and so does Madison. And it's a noodle house, and we go there usually when we're in London, and so. It's just across from Hyde Park again. So we went to go there that night, but I just like was depleted. And so we walked through the park, which was, another tip is get lights. Like, especially like you can get solar lights, I don't understand. And so there weren't lights,
Well,
and we were
and there were
both
people
almost hit.
jogging, like wearing
Yeah,
black
and
and
the
jogging. I'm like, how do you not run into something?
yeah, and that bicyclist that went on the no cycle area and almost hit us.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and then so then we go to Wagamama's Fun, and then I like am melting down because I am not doing well. And then I start like crying at the table. And Wagamama's is like a long table. You're not at your own table. So we're
Yeah,
next to
like
people, which is
family
normally
style, but
fine.
broken up by
But
party.
these
Yeah.
ladies are like, why does she not like her noodles? Like, what is happening? And then we go to leave and we take an Uber because one, it's pitch black now, and then we're not going through the park, and two, I cannot move. And so
Right.
I'm like moaning because my like I was having a pain in my stomach. And so then we, please just don't make noise in the Uber, because also I thought they're gonna throw us out.
You've got to
Like,
get it together.
yeah, you're like, you just need. I'm like, oh my god, like I'm not doing this on purpose, making noise, but I get it because I really thought that they would throw us out. And so then we get in, and I'm just being quiet, and then every bump was hurting, so I like grabbed onto you, and Madison was in the front seat. I'm grabbing onto you, and I thought I was just bracing myself, but then later when you showed me my finger marks, I realized I wasn't bracing myself.
Yes,
so
the nails dug in.
yeah. So then slept that night. The next day, you and Madison went around on the hop on, hop off thing, and
Yes.
and then I just like convalesced. So
Right?
yeah, showered, laid around, like did nothing.
Yeah.
But the hop on, hop off, I think, is a good way, because we did it also in Wales. You kind of get your, I mean, obviously London's different. You get to see all the sights, and it's easy to get around and everything. But like
Right.
when we did it, we went to Chester and did it, and it gets you get an overall view of the town. You can park in one place. You just get a nice glimpse, and you get your bearings, and you can be like, okay, so this is a center, this is not. So I really like those, and
if you have the time, you like do a lap, and then you're like, okay, this is where we want to go, and then you get off on the ones that you saw. Yeah,
exactly. And so and I wasn't the marathon that day too, when you, or maybe they set up for the marathon the night before.
No,
that was the marathon day.
We bought the tickets in the hotel, on our phones, and we go to get on the bus. Like, yeah, so we're only going a couple places because there's a marathon. Like, okay,
yeah. Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be? It
was fine though, because we've been to London, a few times. So it was more just to, like, Big Ben was under construction the last couple times.
Right.
So we got to see that again, and then we took the boat ride. It's just nice to kind of do that stuff and just kind of get out.
Boat ride, that's right. And also it's cheaper than a bunch of taxis. Like, just get the hop on, hop off.
Yeah.
Because one of the offs was near our hotel too. So
yes,
it was just
it was
a quick
right
walk
outside. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and then we rented a car. And we rented the car because the train tickets were so expensive to go. We were gonna go to Liverpool and rent a car there, because I did not want to drive in London, like in the city. I did not want to do it.
Busy,
And I've driven on the wrong side of the road before. I drove a 9-passenger van with a broken finger. Like, I knew how to drive on the wrong side of the road, but they're crazy there. There's so many like taxis, Ubers, shuttles, buses. Like, there's lanes only them can go in, and there's permits, and like it's just a lot. And so but the tickets were so expensive for 3 of us round trip. It's like cheaper just to get the car in London. So we did, and it was a stick shift. And so I said several times to you guys, like, we're not joking. Like, I need support when we're getting out of here. I don't want any jokes at all. Like, just support me.
Right. My favorite was when you're quizzing the taxi driver that was taking us to get the rental car.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the main, like, rules? Like, if you were a new driver, what would you tell me?
And he's like,
it's kind of like,
yeah. Like, what are those zigzag lines for? And then he kind of didn't even explain it right, because I'm like,
you can't stop there. And I'm like, but you can't
which
stop
I thought
there.
meant stop the car, but it means like stop to let off passengers. And
yeah.
So anyway, so then I was like sweating leaving town, and but the stick shift part didn't bother me. A couple times I went, like, when I get in the car, I'd go to I grab my door handle instead of the stick shift, but that didn't bother me as much as just the crazy. And then your brain doesn't flip flop right. It's like, it doesn't do it.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's muscle memory.
We got out. What?
It's muscle memory. Your body's used to turning a certain way.
Because you've always experienced a car on one side, like even passenger, everything. And so,
right.
yeah.
Which was evident when you kept trying to get into the passenger side of the car. And I said, you're going to be driving
I only did that a couple times, and I thought I played it off. I'm like, oh, I'm just walking around the car.
No.
You're like, what you doing? But a couple times you did. Although, when I went and paid for gas one time, I went and paid for gas, and I'm walking out. I'm like, oh, Lisa jumped in to drive. Like, huh? And I'm like, oh, no. Lisa's the passenger side.
Nope.
But once I was on the freeway, it wasn't bad there because I could pretend the other side of the freeway was over there. Like, I wasn't right next to people on the wrong side. So that wasn't as bad. And then after a few days, I think I didn't threaten your lives once we got on the freeway. Like, you stop messing around.
We appreciated that.
Yeah. And then, but then when we were in the outside of London, I think I did pretty well. And then it started, like, after day 4, it didn't mess with my brain as much. And I was much better. But I mean, we didn't hit anything. We brushed against a couple bushes the first day, but after that, I did really well.
There were a couple 8-point turns.
My body, where my driver's side should be in the lane, you know? And, but, so overall, it was success.
And you parallel parked.
Twice I parallel parked.
Right.
I did it
like a normal amount of turns too for the parallel park. Right, it wasn't like oh my gosh.
Exactly. I know. I was very proud of myself. I made Madison take a picture because I was like, okay, I think I could do it, but it's so opposite. Like everything in your brain is just crossing for a parallel parking. But I did it twice. I did it once by the restaurant that we went to, and then once when we went to the library. So yes. Yeah. So we went there to go to see Wrexham's football game, and we got there on Monday, and then when we checked in, the guy, Ethan, is that his name?
Ethan, whose last day was like, we're like,
so what are the odds of getting? He doesn't work tickets, and he's like, for what game? We're like Saturday. He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, you could go there that day and check. And I said, what about Tuesday? Because it was an away game. And he's like, well, I'm trying to get Tuesday now. You could probably get Tuesday. He said, Wednesday there was a match with Wales playing at the stadium. And so actually when we went and drove in Wrexham, it was Wednesday, and we saw the stadium and the traffic and all that. So we're like, okay, so it gave us a good feel. But we stayed in Rossett, which would be kind of the Sun City area of that general part. But it was nice, quiet, wonderful, but it was quiet. Yeah. And it wasn't like you could walk around to a couple pubs and stuff, but it's very, very small town. Very small town. Yeah.
Like, remember then, all those people gathered at the bar with their dogs? And we're like, what's happening right now?
Right. And I felt like I was in someone's seat. Like,
oh,
from
that
Cheers,
one's for Bob.
Like, Norm sits here. Like, I felt like, and they didn't make us feel that way. I was just very aware that we perhaps were not supposed to be in the bar at all. And then, so we had I am fascinated by the thing with Madison when she had a sore throat for a couple days. And then one day she woke up and she's like, I need to go to the doctor. And so when you say I need to go to the doctor in a foreign country, like that's serious stuff. Right. And so, when she gets strep throat, doesn't test positive for strep. They like send it away and then she'll get your results later, but they'll go ahead and treat it like strep. And so we didn't know what to do. And I went to the front desk and they gave us the number of a doctor and also said, well, you can go to the pharmacy, or they said the chemist, and they'd be able to probably prescribe something. And we're like, oh, okay. So we went to the first pharmacy on the list, but it seemed like it was more like a pickup kind of place where they pick up the meds and all that. And the guy looked at Madison's throat. And he's like, "Oh boy, you need to call the doctor.
We can't help you."
Right, we're 111 for the health services. And so we went back to the hotel, and we couldn't dial that on our phone. Like it wouldn't let the country code stuff. And so
the hotels, multiple hotels did not have phones in them.
No phone in the room. Yeah, right. Like the old day. I mean, I'm sure they're not used much, so they just didn't have a phone in the room to dial out. And so then we went ahead and called the doctor's office, and they said, well, have you gone to the pharmacy? And we said, well, yeah, we went to the pharmacy. And then they said, which one? I told them, they go, oh no, if you go to this one, which was like another half a mile or something, they could like see you. And we're like, okay. So we went to that pharmacy, we got there at 11, and they said, can you come back at 11:15? We're like, yeah, that's pretty easy. And then we went back, and there's 2 like rooms to the side, like more like office rooms, not a
Kind of
bed or
like
anything.
Walgreens has like those little
Yeah,
clinic rooms that they
yeah,
can do
like not the
assessments.
bed stuff. So Madison
Yeah.
went in there, checked her throat. He did a throat culture, and immediately she came back with strep. And then, which again, she does it in the States until So I'm like,
Right.
okay, they've
She'd
got
even
good stuff.
prepped the guy that like it's not going to come back
It's
positive.
not going to happen. It's like, nope, you totally
Yeah.
passed with flying colors on that one. And then he gave her 10 days worth of antibiotics.
Mhm.
And then we're like, okay, do we pay in line or whatever? He's like, no, you don't pay. And what do you mean we don't pay?
Huh?
So from start of 10 o'clock going to to downstairs and getting the doctor stuff, from 10 to 11:30 is all it took to get medicine for her and
Right.
seen, and it didn't cost anything. Now I know it costs the local, the citizens, because they pay into the health services
Right.
portion, but it was phenomenal. And then the medication they gave was like 4 times more powerful than what we get in the United States,
actually
because they
worked.
really want to treat it and not like take your money. And so she was feeling good real quick, but they did say take the whole 10 days, and she's like, heck yeah. But she was up and going. Like, it was so fast. I could not believe it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe
in
it.
the States, that would have taken a whole day.
Dream, like getting an appointment to get in, and you have to go to an urgent care, and you have to and then they call in the prescription, and then nope, this guy had a little baggie, and we're out the door.
Yeah.
So that was
lovely.
That was one of the unique things. So we're like, you don't plan on that happens, but it was.
Then like strep throat being super contagious. Yeah. I'm like, if I get sick, it needs to happen here. So
right,
I can have that same rapid response.
I feel a tickle the day before the flight.
Right.
We're going. Yeah, I'm not gonna. This is so much easier. Who would have thought? It's so much easier to do in a foreign country,
right?
Which makes me feel good about Italy. So that because I know it's similar, and everyone's like, when I was sick, they're like, just go to the hospital. I was like, I'm not just gonna go to the hospital. But now I see, it would have been easy.
Yeah, and when I was sick over the summer, they're like, oh, take her immediately. They're like, take her to the hospital. Take her to the hospital.
Just
take
her to the hospital.
I don't get to the hospital.
Why does everyone want us to go to the hospital? Yeah.
Yeah.
But now we know.
Yeah. We get it. Like, oh, okay. Like, that's what you do. Got it.
Yeah. So we saw, so we drove around Wales, and we saw a castle, and then we went through Wales and stuff, and went through Wrexham. When we went through there, because they were having the Wales game match that night, it was crowded traffic,
crazy,
and parking's not like easy. There's not, and plus you don't understand where they are. There are some parking areas, but it was harder and then more difficult. And then we just kind of looked around there, and we got dessert at that place. Oh, Madison wanted McDonald's. That's what it was.
Yes.
She had a craving for McDonald's.
But there were 8,000 people in McDonald's.
Yeah. And so we're like, no, because they were all getting it real quick before going to the game. Mm-hmm. And then, so we went to that dessert place, and then we went to Chester, not Chesterfield, right? Chester, yeah.
Like
we went to Chester, and we did because we went there for a restaurant that was online that Madison liked, and then we did the hop on, hop off bus, and I like Chester. We all like Chester.
Yeah.
We're like, why
where's it been all our lives?
Yeah, and I could like stay. When I'm looking for somewhere to go back and forth from Italy to the UK,
right?
I could totally stay in Chester.
We started looking up houses. We're like, what's?
Yeah, we're like, what is this? Yeah, I liked it a lot. And then if we were to go back for anything, that's where to stay for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has the most amazing food at that restaurant.
Yes. And it was so walkable. Like, Wrexham has a lot of walkable areas, but Chester, like, everything fed into the main areas. It looked like.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of like gaps of fields between things. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I really, really liked that. So we enjoyed that. We had a great dinner at that place. We went there to go on the river, the boat cruise or whatever, but then we did the hop on, hop off instead, so that we could see the whole thing. And I'm really glad we did. We got it so late that we really only had time to do one loop around, but it definitely let us see the sights of the city and get, again, our orientation of where everything was.
Right.
So so that was a hit. And then we went to Liverpool, and I think we just all weren't in the mood to, get out and wander and figure out where to go. It wasn't like an obvious place.
Well, we drove to Abbey Road, And I'm like, this could not. I don't think this was the Abbey Road.
No, we needed to do more. Yeah, that was not the same.
It was under construction.
Were not there. Yeah,
yeah. There was no Beatles.
And it was
the
super short.
Crosswalk thing was not there. Yeah.
No, we got the like tip of Abbey Road at the end of something. Like,
yeah, and I even put in Beatles Abbey Road, and that's where it took us. But yeah, it was maybe meant actual Beatles. I don't know, but that was not.
That would make more sense because they were doing construction and they were turning up some bugs out there. But so that was a kind of a wah. And then so we decided like, okay, we're not gonna search around everywhere. We're just gonna go back. Right. And then when we're going back, we saw a sign that said Safari. So Madison had her ear pods on in the back seat, and I'm like, is that a safari or like, like a drive-through safari? Right. And we're like, I think so. And there was a picture of an elephant, which was misleading because there was no elephant.
Yeah, there's no elephant.
I guess that's a universal symbol for animal over there or something. But so we get off and we're driving, and Madison's like, where are we going? And we're like, nowhere. We're going.
What are we doing? Nothing.
It's a detour. And then we got there, and it is a drive-through safari. It was so cool. Yeah. So we had no plans on doing it, but you didn't feed anything, so that was
right. Like, you weren't allowed to roll down your windows.
Feed an ostrich and watch you guys scream and stuff. That would have been nice. But short of that, it was cool. And then like they had camels and lions and tigers and
rhinoceroses.
And these things are right there. I'm gonna put a video on of the thing, like how close we were, and I'll put the link in the bottom. But we were right there, except the baboons. So there's a little side thing that goes baboon entry. So you can do the whole park without seeing the baboons. Yeah. The baboons are like gang members, apparently. And you do have to go on a different path if you want to baboon it. And then there's all these signs, which we got pictures of the signs too. So I'll make sure that that's on the video.
My favorite sign was car parts will not be returned.
Yes.
Oh! Honk if you need assistance, but so if you chose not to go in, you could still pull around and watch the poor souls that did choose to go in. And that one baboon jumped in the back of the truck, one got on top of the car, and people were like
as soon as they pull in,
it
jumps
whose turn is it?
Pulls up the windshield wipers, pulls them off, just makes them up. So
I think it's because they pull them up and then they hang on to that part. Oh. Because people were trying to stop. Remember, they were like putting their brakes on to have them slide off. And they're like, no, we're good, man. We're stuck.
Yeah. And then at the end, there's a guy that the baboons just jump off. Like, okay, I know we have to get off.
Like, we're not allowed to leave this area.
And then there's a guy that puts your windshield wipers back down for you.
Yeah.
And they weren't broken, but
But I'm assuming at one point it happened. That's why.
Oh, sure.
Broken parts will not be.
Hot. Like, it was a nice weekday, good weather. So I'm sure if it's hotter and they're annoyed or whatever, they're just ripping stuff off. But there's a lot. I don't know what you call it.
There were a lot of them in there.
There was like a tribe. I don't know what a baboon mass is.
There was like that one like line of clearly like hierarchy.
Right. Yeah.
It was pretty cool though.
Yeah, but then like you said, the workers' truck, when the workers' truck went in there, it just jumped in the back of the pickup.
Like, sweet.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and he didn't want to get out either. He's like, I'm
just gonna roll. I'm just drive around with you guys.
So that was a nice surprise. Madison was really happy. We went around twice so that we could.
There were stickers involved, and when you saw an animal, you could put a sticker on a book.
Yeah, that was fun. And then we went to go to the game on Saturday. Was it at 3? I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to Wrexham in the afternoon so we can eat beforehand, and then we, there's just tons of people, but there's tons of men. There's not a lot of ladies, and we were real excited to go to the game and see stuff and go to the bar at the turf bar.
The turf, yeah.
But it did not look inviting for women, and it's not like they were harassing us. It's not like they were making it was just like you get that sense of like, this is it's a guys' clubhouse. I just don't want to go. And the guys would have been polite in their clubhouse, but I don't need to go to the club. And
I think like being like foreigners, we don't want to push it like I don't think it's the norm here. Like they weren't being rude or anything or like setting off that tone, like, oh, don't come in here, kind of any looks
Right.
or anything. But we all just kind of like, I don't think we should go in there. Like, I don't think that's how they do it here. Like,
right.
yeah,
I know. It was very strange. And so
and we
kind of
could
like,
be completely
okay, hard
wrong,
pass on that.
yeah.
Right. Stop, Bodhi. My dog is driving me nuts. And so then we went to the back part of the stadium is where you can enter, and there's a souvenir place there, and we saw the not the chairman, because the movie star is the chairman, but the guy, like the president, the tall guy that runs
That's the movie
thing.
guy.
No, that's not the movie guy.
Stop.
He's on the Wrexham show, but he's maybe I think he's had parts, but he's not Ryan or Rob.
No.
Yeah,
No. But he's the one who is trying
in, like, a Mini Cooper, but he's 6'7" or whatever.
Right.
And he was getting his picture taken and all that, and we could have gone up, but we're like, no, it's good.
Well,
and
Laura almost smacked him in the face when she was putting her jacket on, so that was nice. Like,
jacket,
you almost whacked him in your face as he walked right past her.
And then we got some souvenirs. We got a couple souvenirs. I'm going to post for a giveaway, a scarf and a hat, like in the souvenir shop. And then there was a line you could buy tickets there. And it seemed like some people were getting tickets. The other thing is you can't always necessarily get them together. And then we didn't know, like, okay, when you don't get them together, is it not a big deal? It's kind of like movie theater. You can sit next to the person or what? And so we weren't sure. But then there was a whole section of incredibly intoxicated men singing incredibly loud and jumping up and down, waiting for the gate to be open. And I'm like, is that what we're going to be for the next 3 hours? Like, I don't know. It just didn't seem, and we haven't said this, but our dad was a professional athlete and was a baseball player. And so we grew up in baseball parks. Like, we know drunk fans.
We're used to that kind of stuff. Yeah.
We know drunk fans. We know sticky stuff. We know peanuts. We know all the things. We know songs. Yes, baseball's not as vibrant as football and soccer, but we've also go to football games, go to basketball games, go to arena football. Like, we go to stuff. Your daughter just the other day went to a playoff game. Like, we feel completely comfortable, but we did not feel comfortable. And it was just, and if you look on TV, you hardly ever see women in the soccer games. And it's just, and I thought about it later, and we kind of talked about it, like, well, what would they do to entice women to come or whatever? I'm like, I don't think we need to figure that out. It seems like they're fine. I think they've got their
jam, and the women are probably like, yeah, you go to your game and I'm going to have a girls' night.
And there's plenty of women fans. They just celebrate differently. And they probably are totally happy that their husbands and sons are gone all day, not bugging them. And it was just going to be 3 hours of standing up and songs. And well, as much as we wanted to see that, and thought it would be fun, we just didn't feel part of it at all. It
wasn't feeling
like
fun.
Yeah, it felt like it was we were definitely outsiders.
Yeah.
So that part kind of sucked. So we decided not to go to the game. So we could have gone to the game or match or whatever just to say we went, but we were not feeling bouncing around and screaming and just to say we went. So we did not go, but we definitely got to see the stadium, got to see and they are building on part of it at the back, like redoing that. So what we saw on TV, we got to see all that. And also everyone that worked there, though, was so nice and inviting.
Right.
Lisa made friends because I went and got the car, and Lisa and Madison waited, and they made friends with Mike, the car lot guy.
They're so nice because I was sitting on the ground because I'm like, I just need to sit. And he comes up from doing there weren't benches. He comes up from doing like his job. I think he was supervisor because everybody kept calling him. And he comes over and he's like, "Do you want? That's my car right there." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, is he gonna ask me to move?" Like, I can open the passenger seat and you can sit down if you'd like. And I'm like, "Oh, you're so sweet." I'm like, "No, I'm okay on the floor." He's like,
I know,
okay.
like, couldn't be nicer. And Madison asked for directions or asked for the souvenir thing. Everyone was so nice at work there. It was just a different environment. Like, and maybe if we grew up in the UK, it wouldn't feel so like we were an outsider,
Right.
But it definitely
we didn't know. Like, we don't. It's hard to judge the vibe you're feeling when you don't know what the norm is. So we should have probably paid more attention.
We're not like afraid to try things for the norm. It was just a different feeling,
Right.
Yeah. So I got a scarf and a hat, and then we got a scarf and a hat for a giveaway. And then we were totally fine with that. And we thought, okay, next time we'd come to Chester and then maybe try like a Wales game or something like that.
Yeah.
to get us like baby step into it.
Right.
Or even like I could see where like the bigger fields like Manchester United stuff or Liverpool, like those big stadiums where
Right.
those wouldn't be as like hometown, everyone local, everyone knows each other, you're not part of
Yes.
it. Like
Yeah.
I think that might be a good start, you know.
Yeah.
But that's also why we went. So
I know that was the appeal, but then you're like, but we're not actually part of the
yeah.
community.
Yeah,
So
so that was
yeah.
kind of a bummer. And then we went back, so that was Saturday, and then Sunday we drove back to London and successfully, like it wasn't as bad driving in London on the way back because
Right.
I was got my wits about me, and then returned the car, stayed the night, and the next morning we went to the airport, and then you guys went on to Phoenix, and I came back to California. So
Yep. We were delayed, but still met
oh yeah, you
our
guys, yeah,
connecting flight, so all was fine.
yeah. So no, I think it was good. I think it was a good trip, and then um I'll put a link to the video of the animal place that we went
Safari.
to, and then like
Yeah.
another link of a video of maybe some of the photos that we took while we were
Yeah.
there. So I'll put those two links in there, and then we put on our newsletter that we're doing the giveaway. So I'll put a link to the newsletter too. So if you wanted to join the newsletter or sign up for the newsletter, which you get like a free guide of where to start on finding a house in Italy and stuff. And so you can then my dog is just driving me nuts.
I know.
I'm like, can you not do that? And then so then if they want to join the newsletter, they can see what other giveaways and stuff are coming up, or also sneak peeks to the houses, some of the houses. So yeah, so I'll put those links in there, and then that is it for now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks guys.
Bye.
Bye.